Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Game Day Show. This is your source for college sports entertainment. This is episode 36. I am Ethan Bass, your host, and we got a wide range of topics to talk about in today's episode. Devontae Smith just won the Heisman. That is a very exciting news right there. We're also going to talk about the future of Michigan football. We're going to preview the national championship coming up this Monday night, and I'm going to give you my favorite game of the 2020 season. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some college football. Before we start, please follow my socials, Bass Productions, and All Gator Nation. Very much appreciated. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going to be posting edits as well. So go subscribe, go like this video if you want to see more edits and podcasts. Just before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Lulu Cohen, Sammy Cohen, and Jordan Braxton for their cute little bird they brought into school today. Great for them. Go text them some love. Shout out to Devontae Smith just won the Heisman. Now, this is very big for the whole sport of college football, since it's the first time a wide receiver has ever won the Heisman since Desmond Howard back in the 80s. Now, the other finalists were Kyle Trask from the University of Florida, Mac Jones from the University of Alabama, and Trevor Lawrence from the University of Clemson. Now, I believe, in my opinion, Devontae Smith should have won it like he did. I think he had a standing year, by far the most dominant player in all college football, as you're seeing on your screen. I mean, the dude was just so smooth on his edges, and Duke run routes like incredible, broke so many tackles. I mean, you saw like the Jalen Waddle, and before Jalen Waddle in Alabama got hurt back in October, those two were like the dynamic duo. So I'm very happy for Devontae Smith. Very good. Devontae received 447 first place votes. Very congratulated to him. Great performance by Devontae Smith. Now, I want you to hear this about Devontae Smith. This year, he put up 1,641 stats so far. I mean, he still has to play in the national championship game Monday night. But, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, no one even came close to the amount of yards he produced this season, and was doing in dominated fashion, like returning punts or getting catches off the touchdown. So Devontae Smith is playing incredible football. I cannot wait to watch him one last time in Alabama on Monday night in the national championship game. But I mean, as you're just seeing, like his routes are so nice, as you're seeing on screen, like Matt Jones, another Heisman finalist. He just threw dimes to Devontae Smith, and I think they're a very good connection. The dude has 20 touchdowns. Now, I'm pretty sure he leads the country in receiving touchdowns. Or it could have been Najee Harris, but I mean, Najee was on the ground for Alabama. I mean, the whole Alabama offense is just, stacked with Najee and Devontae. But I mean, this dude was absolutely incredible. I keep saying it. His average yards per carry was like 17 or whatever. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm pretty sure Kyle Pitts out of Florida was the one that most close to him. I mean, dude was absolutely incredible. And if you also remember back in 2018, when he was a freshman, basically Tua threw him the ball to win the national championship game. And it was a whole big moment, the true freshman Devontae Smith. And that was kind of a very iconic moment. Also, another iconic moment was the catch against LSU. Pretty sure it popped on the screen earlier. But I mean, this dude deserved it, and I'm very proud for him. And he had quoted in the Heisman, in his Heisman speech, I quote it right now. So Devontae basically said to like all the young kids who are out there who maybe aren't like the biggest of stars. If you go to my school, North Broward, all the football kids are not the biggest stars there. Not any stars ranked, but if you're not the biggest, and if you're not even the strongest, still keep pushing. I take that quote every day in my life. Just keep pushing at every asset of your life, and I totally agree with Devontae. So great on Devontae. Congratulations, Devontae. Let's talk some Michigan football. So basically, around a week ago, I was just staring at my phone, and I saw breaking news from 247 saying that Jim Harbaugh got extended till 2026. Now, if I'm Michigan's AD, why am I signing Jim Harbaugh till 2026? I mean, you can't play against a top 10 team. I mean, dude has consistent losses against top 10 teams. I do not know why Michigan did that. Let's talk about the recruiting class this year. So they're ranked 13th nationally. They have 1 5-star and 10 4 stars. So I mean, they are doing pretty good in recruiting. I wouldn't say it's the best recruiting, but I mean, they're doing really good in recruiting. Michigan, and you got to put that product on the field. I mean, they haven't beaten Ohio State since 2011. I mean, that's not acceptable. Michigan needs to do better. I do not know why they hired Jim Harbaugh till 26. But they did fire their defensive coordinator, which is a good step because their defense was absolutely atrocious this year. So I'm glad they did that. It's the next step in the right direction. But I do not know why they signed him for 6 more years. Like, are you really that committed to Jim Harbaugh? His success in the NFL was tremendous. And when he joined the Wolverines like 4 years ago or whatever, but his success in the NFL, he went to Super Bowl, faced his brother on 49ers, Ravens. So, his success in the NFL is really good, but I don't know about college. The dude can't beat any top 10 team. I feel like he's kind of like Notre Dame's coach, Brian Kelly, and who can't beat a top 10 team. Michigan cannot beat Ohio State. Until they beat Ohio State, they're not going to be relevant, since that's like the big hump. And we saw with Florida this year, if they couldn't beat Georgia, and then they're not going to get across the big hump and win the SEC East champs. But I feel like Michigan's going to be in that hole, since Ohio State's always going to be better than them. I don't know what I can see from Michigan. It was obviously an off year. Michigan didn't play at their standard. Michigan went 2-3. When do you see Michigan going 2-3 and winning by crunch against Rutgers, who Rutgers has historically was the worst team in college football for the past 5 years? When you ever see a big blood team, Michigan, almost lose to Rutgers? Does that ever happen? If I'm Michigan's AD, I think he's crazy right now. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, I'm super excited. I'm getting paid millions of dollars to coach at Michigan, but I still do not think they can pass that hump. So, we'll see Michigan next year. I really hope they can pass the hump and Jim Harbaugh, but I just don't see it. So now it's time to mention my favorite game of the 2020 season. By far, my favorite game. It probably wasn't the most flashiest game, but my favorite game was BYU Coastal Carolina. We just saw these two undefeated teams of non-Power 5 conferences go at it. It was absolutely incredible. BYU, if you remember, they scheduled this game like with 3 days before they played. It was absolutely insane. They had crossed the plane there, and with like very little time to look at film or practice or whatever. So good on BYU. But this was an insane game. BYU lost because then they fell short on the 1 yard line with like 1 second to go. It was a great game. Zach Wilson put up a stinker, 240 yards and a touchdown. And at the end of the half, they had the big fight when Coastal's defense players started fighting BYU's team. So it was a very heartfelt game. It was a very intense game. I remember watching it at home, just staring at the TV, like back and forth, back and forth. I was rooting for Coastal Carolina, and the reason why is I thought they were the underdog. A lot of people had them down. Coastal was a very fun team to watch this year. They lost in the bowl game, sadly, by like a field goal to Liberty. It was a great season by Coastal. I give their head coach a lot of credit. Because they literally made Coastal Carolina football fun again. Coastal Carolina football hasn't. They just started like in 2015, so good on him for making a big time bowl game, and also beating these big teams like BYU. BYU had a great season. Zach Wilson is going to go first round in the NFL draft. People are saying he could go number 2 to the Jets. So, I expect big things out of Zach Wilson. I want to see him out of the combine there. But talking to these teams in the future, BYU is obviously losing a lot of their players, including Zach Wilson. So next season should be interesting for them. And Coastal, I think they're going to have a good season next year. I don't think it's a 1-year wonder. I think Coastal is going to have a good year. But if you saw this game, like it was a shootout. It was like back and forth, and it was a fun one. I honestly wish this game was not COVID, because all the fans would be going crazy and stuff. It would be an insane game in a non-COVID scenario. But I feel like this game taught us a lesson about scheduling, because I'm looking at some of these scheduling, and teams are scheduling 10 years in advance, 15 years in advance, 6 years in advance, like in these crazy long amount of time, scheduling non-con opponents. BYU scheduled this as 3 days. So could we see next year, and let's say a team's out like COVID, let's say it's still relevant next year, and a team's out can we schedule another game for 3 days in advance like BYU did? So good on BYU. I think they both had incredible seasons. Good on Coastal too. Two very good teams there. So I just learned in a 5-year span, this was the most rated game out of any of the games that ESPNU, the channel, has produced. So I'm good on them for ESPNU for getting that amount of viewership. It was probably the one of the best games at the Group 5 level. And maybe if Cincinnati played BYU, it could have been another great game. But I mean, that's a really this was a very good matchup. It shows a lot at like a high level, like a not at a like big Power 5 standpoint. It's good aligned, and it's good games for like the casual fan. Like I feel like these two teams, and that's why I loved it so much. It was a fun game. I felt like that's why a lot of people across the country love this game and pick them as their favorite game because it wasn't like one of those defensive games. It was just a shootout, and these two very fun teams, two very fun coaches, players, and stuff. I feel like that's why people love to watch the game. But I mean, throwing these games like on a Wednesday afternoon, 3 days before the game, is not practical. But I feel like it could happen in the future. So I'm very excited to see what these two teams can do in the future. And the game of the week presented by your North Broward Eagles. And we're going to do the game of the week now because there is only one game. It is number 3 Ohio State against number 1 Alabama. This is probably the most hype matchup of the whole season. Nobody expected Ohio State to beat Clemson. I'm talking about there's so many doubters for Ohio State side because they only played 6 games. They had all their games canceled and postponed. So there's a lot of doubters for Ohio State there. And Justin Fields, what a performance last game against Clemson in the semifinal. I mean, the dude put up like 5 touchdowns, whatever. I mean, what a performance. And that definitely raises draft stock. And I mean, there's rumors that Urban Meyer could be going to the Jaguars in the NFL. And Urban Meyer loves those dual threat guys, unlike Justin Fields, who can throw and run. So if Urban Meyer does decide to go to the Jags, Justin Fields could be going number 1, not Trevor Lawrence. But we'll see. On the other side, Devontae Smith just won the Heisman for Alabama. They have the best running back. They have the best wide receiver. And I heard Jalen Waddle could be coming back. I mean, are you kidding me? After his injury with his leg, I mean, Jalen Waddle, if you remember, last year was one of the best players in college football. I mean, the dude juiced out everyone. The dude was like Tyreek Hill in the college level. I mean, but Devontae Smith is playing. And I really hope Jalen Waddle does, since I want to see that show again. Mac Jones, the quarterback for Alabama, playing fantastic football, Heisman finals, like we said. And Alabama's defense, and we saw them play way better than they did in the SEC championship game last weekend against Notre Dame. I want to see a bigger improvement, though, since you're playing a very high power fiber offense with Justin Fields leading that Ohio State. And I want to see if Ryan Day can get the job done. Ryan Day already beat Clemson. I want to see if he can beat Alabama now, because this is the real challenge. Because remember, years past they couldn't beat Clemson. They finally got over that hump of beating Clemson. I really want them to see if they can beat Alabama, since that's the next big step of the next power house of college football. Right now, let's talk about betting odds. So Ohio State only has a 37% chance of winning, with Alabama with a 62% chance of winning, and those are pretty big margins of number. And the spread's -8 right now. I expect that to go higher if Jalen Waddle does return, but we're still waiting to see if he will be returning for Monday night's action. I'm gonna give you my pick in a second. But the money line's -300. We'll see if that also goes up. But we'll see. For Ohio State and their leading wide receiver, Wilson, I mean, dude's having alright year. I mean, dude put up 5 touchdowns, 673 yards in 6 games. And you have to remember, Devontae Smith out of Alabama played 11 games or 12 games, I guess now. And this Wilson dude only played 7, including the Big 10 championship. So 7 games, 12 games. I mean, you're seeing a little margin there. So dude would have probably doubled his numbers and gotten 10 touchdowns, half of what Smith did. That just shows how much Devontae Smith is a weapon. But I mean, Najee Harris. I mean, if I'm looking at who's going to win this game, if Alabama is going to win, it's going to be because of Najee Harris. Najee Harris is absolutely ridiculous. And the dude has 24 touchdowns as a running back. 24. I'm surprised he wasn't a finalist either. I have 5 Heisman finalists, and I'm sure he would probably been number 2, to be honest with you, but he ranked number 5 in the Heisman. But dude put up 1,387 yards on the ground. I mean, dude was insane, 229 carries. Najee Harris is like a bowling ball. I in my opinion, Najee Harris is like a Derrick Henry type player, where he's literally a bowling ball. But he has so much speed. I feel like that's Najee Harris there. Other side, Sermon, not that very good of a year for Ohio State's running back, only 4 touchdowns in 7 games. Justin Fields, though, very proud of him. 21 touchdowns. Love what he's doing. I love what he did last game. I think dude put an absolute amazing game last game. Dude had his QBR rating was 257, 385 passing yards, and 78% completion percent with 6 touchdowns. You can't get any better game than that. So I expect big firepower offenses here. Expect to be a shootout. I'm gonna go 52. I'm gonna go 52-41 Alabama. There's my pick. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Game Day Show. I'm Ethan Bass, your host, and we'll see you all later.